In this video, I would like to talk about improvements that are coming to the project's application in 2020. Now, with this round of changes, we really wanted to make the application more powerful and most importantly, more customizable for our users. So we've done a number of changes to the permission system, as well as to a front-end application to make it easier to use the app, as well as adding a lot of powerful features and a lot of the nice ways to visualize the data. So now I just wanted to go through the prototype for these changes. Now this work is already in progress, but as this is prototype, the features are subject to change, and what you see now may not actually end up in a final version that we will ship. So if I jump right in and then go to the main project landing page, this page has now been improved with improved card-based layout as well as improved list view, so it will be a lot easier to go for existing projects, check their status, sort, filter, and so on. Now, if I go to the admin section of application, and again, it works the same as before by just clicking the admin button here. We've added a whole new and exciting part to this, and something that we call roles and rights. Now, the project application, of course, always had roles and rights, but this was a set list. You could not add more or remove roles that don't quite make sense for the given projects or for organization as a whole. Now we introduce the concept of adding additional roles, deleting or editing existing ones, and configuring exactly what permission does each role get. So if I jump to the rights tab now, you can see that the permission system is extremely granular, and you can configure exactly what role can or cannot do things within the application, up to up to the detail. For example, you can give a person ability to add tasks, but not delete, and this is extremely granular. So to start with, application will start with a PM, senior team, senior client, and a viewer roles. Now, viewer is a new one, and we didn't have it before, and the intention for it is for a role that can view certain parts of a project, but cannot contribute to it. But of course, you can create any additional roles as required. Also, we've added a help box at the bottom of the rights table, just to give a little bit context about some of them. Now, as I mentioned, these are default roles and rights, and what it means that every new project that will be created will inherit these rights, but these can be customizable on a project level. So you can set up a rough set of roles and rights in the admin, and then customize as needed when the project is created. So if I jump right back to the front end now, I would like to show now improve the project creation flow, and again go a little bit more how does this new roles and rights concept actually work in this case. So if I hit a new project button, I'm taken to the new project creation flow, and this is now a two-step process. Again, to break it down a little bit and make it more structured and help with the flow. So the first screen is very similar to what we had before. You can configure basic details about a project, such as its name, code, description, again upload a cover image, just like you were able to do before. And now by clicking Save and Continue, you get to the new roles and rights section. And this is optional. This is informed by the default set in the admin panel. So if these are okay and you don't want to add any users or customize anything, you can just hit save, and it'll be fine. Or alternatively, you can actually, for first of all, add specific members to each of these roles, or just go ahead and create a new role or customize rights for any of this. Again, it works similar to defaults, only this will be on a project level. So if I save this now, I will be taken to the new project overview screen. And we're actually quite excited about this. What this is essentially a dashboard to give you at a glance overview of everything happening within the project. So at the top you can see all of the details about this, such as they created, modified, completion, name, company, again very similar to what you were able to see before. One new thing here that we added is the rich text in a project description. So if I hit project information here, I get a model with first of all some metadata at the top, but the project description can include rich text now. That means, of course, images, including a table if needed. So again, it's a lot more powerful and a lot more customizable in terms of what you actually can do with this. So if I close this and come back to the overview page, below we have 4 sections, and these are the comments section shows you the overview of all the comments coming from various parts of the application. So we're talking here comments on tasks, comments on topics, and so on. So it's like an aggregate view of all of the comments. Again, tasks is shows you all of the latest tasks, and you can filter it by tasks assigned to yourself or just general ones. And topics is a brand new feature. In the current version of projects available in Claromantis 8, you essentially can have only one discussion per project. But now we add in a concept of topics. By default, every new project will have a default topic added, but users will be able to create additional topics. So it means it's just your project could have more than one conversation thread. So it'll be easier to break things down in a logical way and avoid having all the discussion in one long thread. And again, files section, it just shows the recently uploaded or added files to a project. So this is the new project overview dashboard. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of these sections. So as I mentioned topics already, if I just jump right in, here you can see all of the topics in a project who are participating in it. Administrator can have an option to pin a topic if required, and a pin topics, of course, would be marked as such. And if I jump in one of them, you can see that the topic is made out of name, description, some metadata about it, and the actual conversation below. So this is a topic. And of course, you can also follow a topic, edit, or delete if required. Now, I would like to jump to the tasks. And tasks is a part of application that probably has seen the most improvements. And we know that the tasks feature is quite powerful, and we really wanted to improve it in terms of what you can do with it, as well as how these tasks can be visualized. So what you're looking at now is a list view of the tasks. It's similar to what is available in a current version of projects, only we improved it in a number of ways. First of all, the sections are called lists now, and you can have more than one list. You can reorder tasks by dragging them from one list to the other. And now you can see at a glance the status of the tasks, who they are assigned to, the priority, due date, and other things as well. We've expanded filtering to be able to filter by status, filter by SNE, if required, due date, priority, and whatever if you like to show completed or not. So this is again a new filtering option. And so this is pretty much the list view of the tasks. So if I navigate to a separate task, you can see that the task page has been changed as well. As before, you have your discussion, files, and history tabs. But now we've added some more rich metadata to the side, as well as added a concept of statuses, and more on this later. So if I come back to the tasks again, one of the new features here is a View As dropdown. And this is something that I haven't had before. And as you can see, this is a list view now. But if I change to a board, I get a brand new way to visualize the tasks. And again, we're really excited about it because it's really a great way to see, a lot more visual way, the overview of the projects, what tasks are being worked on, what needs review. And again, the aim for this is to make it as customizable as possible. So let's just dive right in. We now added the board view. Essentially, it's kind of a similar to a Kanban that you can have multiple columns. Each column corresponds to a status of a task. By default, every project has a to-do and done columns, and these are always available. They are also marked with a special icon and a description of what exactly each column does and what it means. But a user on a project level can create additional columns in between. So for example, in a simplest way, if you would like to add a column after the to-do and call it in progress, it will be a three-step progress. You start with your backlog of tasks in a to-do column, then you create an in progress column, and the last column will be done. And all of these column names correspond to the task statuses that we saw on an individual task page earlier. Now, as I mentioned, the additional statuses can only be created in between of to do and done. And the done is always a last step of task life, and the to-do is always the first one. But there are a number of columns that can be created in between to match customer workflow or any business needs, really. So let's just see how it works. Each column has a drop-down, and you can create a column before or after. As you can see on a to-do, you can only create a column after, and on done column, you can only create a column before. Now, each of these columns can be renamed to match whatever requirements needed, and including the default ones as well. Now, let's see how can you manage these columns. Of course, as this is a custom one, you should be able to delete it, but the deletion only works if the column is actually empty and there are no tasks within it. So if I try to delete the empty column, which you can see it is actually empty, it will ask you for confirmation, but you can actually go ahead and delete this one as it's empty. Now let's see how does the column creation works. So if, for example, I would like to create a new column after this one, I can just hit add column after, and it will scroll to the new column. You can see it's just after this one, and you can enter a new name and save it or either reject and go back to your previous step. So it's really easy to add the new columns. And of course, each column would also inform the statuses that a task can have. Now, this is an optional view. It will be enabled by default, but if for whatever reason you would like to have a more simple view of the tasks on a project, this can be configured. and I'll show how it works a little bit later. But as we're still talking about tasks, let's see what other ways there are to visualize it. We are working on a calendar view, which is something like this, and again shows tasks on the calendar if they have a date attached. And we also will be working on a timeline view later on as well. So again, the purpose of this is to really provide a visual way to show the information from a project and make it a lot easier to consume and work with. So if I come back to the project overview, and then let's see how we can customize the project further. So from a drop down from a dashboard, I can hit edit project, which will take me to this screen. Again, this is similar to the project creation flow with the added features tab. And this is where you customize features on a project level. So if you would not want to have a tasks board or timeline or calendar, any of these can be configured and turned off, on and off individually. So again, giving kind of more power to the user and more ways to customize the application to meet their needs. And so this is concludes the biggest changes coming to the project. There are a lot of small fixes and tweaks everywhere, and we really wanted to go through the entire application and see what parts can be improved, what we can make easier and better. And apart from everything I've talked about, there's still quite a lot of the smaller changes throughout the application, including things like pages components. We had two components to show tasks and projects in pages, and now we improved this components to add additional customization options. So looking at the tasks, I can now order things, change direction, and also actually filter tasks by particular projects. So you don't get to see everything if you don't want to. And very similar to the projects component, we've added a number of configuration options here, again to make it a lot more flexible for the user. So this pretty much concludes the demonstration of the changes coming to the projects application in 2020. And again, this is still work in progress and things are subject to change, but everything that I will talked about today represents the current state of the development. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.